In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NFL games happening on October 1st, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Miami Dolphins versus Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins will be going for their 3rd consecutive road win when they face the Buffalo Bills on Sunday afternoon. The game will be played at Highmark Stadium. The Dolphins are coming off a 70-20 drubbing of Denver as 6-point favorites. The Bills are coming off a 37-3 win over Washington as 5-point favorites. Buffalo is 9-1 in its last 10 games against Miami. The Dolphins sure were impressive last week against the Denver Broncos to pick up their 3rd win of the season. The Dolphins offense scored 70 points against the Broncos, and that was enough for the 50-point victory. Tua Tagovailoa had a strong game, completing 23 of his 36 passes for 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. Rookie running back Devon Achane finished with 18 carries for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert also finished with 82 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle missed the last game with a concussion, but he's expected to return in this game. The Bills are averaging 43 points while their defense is giving up 24 points per game. The Bills suffered a locking loss in Game 1 against the New York Jets, but since that point they have won 2 straight games. Against the Raiders, the Bills were able to secure the 38-10 victory, and in the last game against the Washington Commanders, they won 37-3. Stephon Diggs had a strong game, finishing with 8 catches for 111 yards. The Bills are averaging 30 points while their defense is giving up 12 points per game. The offense and defense are both ranked 2nd in the NFL. Both Miami and Buffalo sit atop most defense categories this season in the NFL and will find ways to score in this game. However, out of the 6 various teams that both the Dolphins and Bills have played, only the Chargers are in the top half of the NFL's power rankings. The Dolphins beat those Chargers Week 1 by a score of 36-34, racking up 536 yards, primarily through the air. In contrast, last week the Dolphins demonstrated they could run the ball as well, tallying 350 yards on the ground. The Bills lost to the Jets in Week 1 and allowed Jets running back Breece Hall run for 127 yards. Hall has since been the top rusher in the backfield for the Jets in Week 2 and 3, with only 9 yards against the Cowboys and 18 against the Patriots. The Dolphins running back duo, which leads the league in rushing yards and yards per attempt, will be able to find holes in the Buffalo defense. The Bills have feasted on turnovers this season by pulling in an impressive 7 interceptions. In contrast to that, Miami's Tagovailoa has only committed 2. Look for Miami to focus on protecting the ball by establishing the rushing attack first, which will open up the secondary. Josh Allen has been no stranger to the interception himself this year and would be under his average if he was only to commit 1 in this game against the Dolphins. In fact, Allen threw 2 interceptions in the postseason game between these 2 teams last season. The Dolphins have won 3 straight games. They had the highest scoring offense in the league, thanks in large part to their 70-point performance on Sunday. They lead the league in passing and rushing and will be able to run the ball against the Bills, who are giving up more than 110 rushing yards per game. Even though Buffalo currently has the 3rd best pass defense in the league, the stats are a little misleading because they face 2 of the worst passing teams in the league in their first 3 games. The Dolphins are a different animal when it comes to throwing the ball, with plenty of weapons at Tagovailoa's disposal. Their offensive line has also done a good job protecting their quarterback, giving up only 1 sack in 3 games, so expect the Bills to have a hard time slowing down their offense in this game. The Bills have won 2 of their 3 games. They have also played well offensively, averaging more than 30 points per game. They've done a good job running the ball this season, and their passing game has also been good. They will be able to run the ball against the Dolphins, who have the 24th best run defense in the league, and should also be able to throw the ball against them. But Allen has been turnover-prone this season, with 4 interceptions and a lost fumble in 3 games. The Dolphins have done a good job forcing turnovers this season, so expect them to capitalize on Buffalo's mistakes. I said coming into this game I wanted to be on the side of the underdog, and I'm going to be honest, I thought it would be closer to a pick'em. But this isn't an overreaction to the 70-point game from Miami. The Dolphins have been consistently good through the first 3 weeks of the season. Buffalo's been solid as well, but I'd argue that the Dolphins have been better against tougher opposition. This will be a great battle between the two top teams in the American Football Conference East. It will be one which will see multiple lead changes throughout. Miami was posted a dog in each of the 3 games last season. In each one of those, Miami covered the spread and won one of them outright. I believe that there's value here with the free field goal. So the Miami Dolphins to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Both Miami and Buffalo sit atop a majority of the scoring categories in the NFL this season. Both of their offensive efficiency metrics have allowed them to sustain drives and score frequently. Miami has allowed 24 points per game on the average but gave up 34 to the Chargers. The Bills have been stingier, giving up a paltry 11.6. Buffalo, however, hasn't faced a dynamic offense like that of the Dolphins yet this season. These teams averaged 63 points the last 2 times they faced off against each other, including the Tagovailoa wildcard game last season. Miami's offense will continue to steamroll defenses, and the Bills will look to match their intensity and drive. The Dolphins are averaging 43 points per game and 30 points per game on the road. They averaged 27 points per game in their last 3 games against the Bills. Even though Buffalo is giving up 12 points per game this season, they haven't faced an offense that is as good as Miami's, so expect the Dolphins to score close to 30 points in this game. The Bills are averaging 30 points per game and 38 points per game at home. They averaged 28 points per game in their last 3 games against the Dolphins. The Bills and Dolphins played over the total in 7 of their last 10 meetings. These are 2 elite offenses and they should be scoring points all game long. The Dolphins put up 70 points against the Broncos last week, and it seems as if no one can stop them. Just look at the points per game average for both teams. The Bills are averaging 30 points per game and the Dolphins are averaging an insane 43. That recipe has high-scoring affair written all over it. With the offensive playmakers on both sides of the ball, this is also a perfect game to place an anytime touchdown scorers parlay. Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs are 2 of the best receivers in the league facing off against one another and will want to show who is better. Look for this one to get over the total late in a flurry of fourth quarter scoring. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Cincinnati Bengals versus Tennessee Titans. The Cincinnati Bengals pay a visit to Nashville, Tennessee and Nissan Stadium on Sunday to play against the Tennessee Titans. Cincinnati snapped a 2-game losing streak with a 19-16 victory over the Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football after losing to Cleveland and Baltimore in its first 2 games of the regular season. Tennessee was defeated by the Cleveland Browns 27-3 on Sunday, and the Titans have also lost to New Orleans while defeating the Los Angeles Chargers. Cincinnati has 3 players including Joe Burrow, Chris Evans, and Irv Smith Jr. all listed as questionable for Sunday. Tennessee has a laundry list of injuries with safety Mike Brown out, as well as quarterback Caleb Farley and several players on both sides of the line of scrimmage listed as questionable. The Bengals kicked off the year with a couple of rivalry matchups, and things didn't go very well at all. Cincinnati started with a game versus the Browns in the opener, eventually falling 24-3. In Week 2 versus the Ravens, the Bengals gave up points in every quarter along the way to a competitive but ultimately fruitless loss 27-24. Matched up against the Rams on Monday, the Bengals posted 10 points in the third quarter and eventually took the win 19-16. Quarterback Joe Burrow finished with just 109 yards on 15 completions, and Joe Mixon led the rush with 23 yards from 7 carries. Jamar Chase was tops in receiving with 47 yards from 5 catches. Over on the Titans side, they've had an up and down year so far, with more down than up. Tennessee took on the Saints in their opener and fell 16-15 after nursing a 9-6 lead at the break. In their second outing of the season versus the Chargers, the Titans earned a hard-fought win with a field goal in overtime and a 27-24 result. Tennessee really hit the wall in the Browns game back on Sunday. The Titans were down 13-3 going into the second half and gave up points in every quarter during a limp loss 27-3. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill finished with 104 yards, and Derrick Henry added 20 rush yards. DeAndre Hopkins led the receivers on 48 yards off 3 catches. We've got a couple of 1-2 American Football Conference teams that could each really use a win here as the Cincinnati Bengals take on the Tennessee Titans. I haven't loved what I've seen from Cincinnati, but but I like what I've seen from Tennessee even less. The Titans were outmatched last week as the Browns' pass rush had a field day pressuring Tannehill. That's been a common theme this season, and I don't expect that trend to change on Sunday, as the Titans' quarterback will be avoiding Sam Hubbard and Hendricks all afternoon. I'm confident that the Bengals' defense will also continue to bottle up Henry, putting too much weight on Tannehill's shoulders. With DeAndre Hopkins banged up and Treylon Burks questionable to play, that doesn't sound too promising against Cincinnati's 12th-ranked pass defense. Burrow may need a few weeks to find his groove, but his determination versus Los Angeles didn't go unnoticed. He'll have to be efficient, but I believe he can be against the Titans' 28th-ranked pass defense. Last time I checked, the Bengals still have elite pass catchers in Chase and T. Higgins. If Burrow can get them the football early and often, the Titans will struggle to keep up. Cincinnati's defense put on an impressive display on Monday, managing to hold the Los Angeles Rams to under 300 yards of total offense. Cincinnati's defense allowed only 71 rushing yards on Monday. They forced 2 turnovers from the Rams and held them from scoring a touchdown until just over a minute remained in the game. On offense, Joe Burrow demonstrated grit by playing through an obvious injury. Burrow connected with his favorite receiver, Ja'Marr Chase, who had 12 catches for 141 yards. The Tennessee Titans had one of their worst offensive performances in franchise history last Sunday. Not only did the Titans score only 3 points against the Cleveland Browns, but their total offensive output was a dismal 94 yards. This marked only the 5th time in franchise history that they failed to reach the 100-yard mark in offense. Tennessee is struggling with multiple issues on offense. Ryan Tannehill currently ranks 30th out of 34 qualifying quarterbacks in passer rating, with a paltry 67.7. Star running back Derrick Henry was limited to just 20 rushing yards on 11 carries versus Cleveland. Wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is averaging slightly over 50 receiving yards per game and has yet to score a touchdown in a Titans uniform. The Titans predictably can't move the ball, and the decline we saw on offense last season seems to have only got worse in 2023. They haven't been able to replace A.J. Brown, and the offensive line can't pass block, so it's not like Ryan Tannehill has time to hit his underwhelming weapons anyway. Tannehill is averaging just 182.7 yards per game and has taken a whopping 13 sacks through the first 3 contests. The Bengals started slowly, but that likely had more to do with Joe Burrow's lingering calf injury than anything else. Burrow appears to be getting much closer to 100%, and the team bounced back in a big way in their most recent game with a win over the Rams. That gave them the positive momentum they needed, and now might be your last chance to buy low before they take off again. Tannehill has been dreadful, but perhaps more concerning for Titans fans is that Derrick Henry has been too. Henry is averaging just 3.2 yards per attempt, and rookie Tyjae Spears has been far more efficient on his limited touches. Tennessee's secondary was shredded by Cleveland's Deshaun Wagainst the spread on last week, and Wagainst the spread on had really been struggling previously, so I'm not optimistic about their defense either. The Bengals, who were among the NFL's top teams against the spread last season with a record of 13-6 against the spread, are still in search of their first against the spread win this season, currently standing at 0-2-1 against the spread. However, Cincinnati is the superior team in this matchup, so the Cincinnati Bengals to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Las Vegas Raiders versus Los Angeles Chargers. The Las Vegas Raiders will make the short trip to Los Angeles on Sunday to take on the Chargers in an American Football Conference West showdown. Both teams come into this game at 1-2, with the Raiders falling to the Steelers at home last Sunday night and the Chargers picking up their first win on the road at Minnesota. This is an American Football Conference West showdown between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders, with both teams coming into this matchup at 1-2. The Chargers picked up their first win of the season in thrilling fashion at Minnesota last weekend, when Brandon Staley made a questionable call to go for it on 4th down inside his own 25-yard line. They went on to win on a game-ending interception in the end zone by Kenneth Murray, despite failing to convert that 4th down on the previous offensive drive. The Raiders, on the other hand, lost to the Steelers and were very sloppy on offense as Jimmy Garoppolo threw 3 interceptions. The Chargers remain a much better than their record indicates. They boast one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Justin Herbert, and they have weapons all around him to succeed. Their offense is averaging 28 points per game compared to the Raiders, who average 15 points per game, third worst in the league. These teams have the same record, but the Chargers' explosive offense led by new coordinator Kellen Moore and will likely expose the Raiders' secondary just like the Bills did in Week 2. The Chargers' defense has had a rough start to the year, but the Raiders' offense hasn't been making any noise either. Running back Josh Jacobs does not look like his old self from last season, and Garoppolo has already thrown 6 interceptions through 3 games. Los Angeles should be able to beef up this Sunday and force turnovers. The Raiders look like a team in disarray heading into this battle with the Chargers on the road. There are rumors that the Raiders veterans are already grumbling about McDaniel's coaching ability after 3 weeks, and the team may or may not have Garoppolo at quarterback this week. The oft-injured quarterback is in concussion protocol and hasn't practiced as of midweek prior to this game. The Raiders will then have to choose between veteran Brian Hoyer or rookie Aiden O'Connell. Hoyer can be a marginal game manager, while O'Connell has more potential following a successful career at Purdue in their pass-happy system. All 3 quarterbacks will desperately need the Raiders' running game to appear after laying dormant for each of the first 3 weeks. They are last in the league in rushing offense, which would be essential to slow down the game against the high-powered Chargers offense. Even without Williams, the Chargers are loaded at the wide receiver position and may get even more good news this week with All-Pro running back Eckler close to returning. Eckler will help out the Chargers in both the run and pass game and keep the Raiders' pass rush from pinning their ears back against Herbert. Last season, these two split their 2 matchups straight up and against the spread. This season, both teams are 1-2 against the spread. There seems to be a lot of uncertainty with the Raiders, who have certainly been through it this week. There is just too much turmoil on and off the field for this team to really be able to concentrate on what matters. Garoppolo is still very much a question mark, and even if he does play, one hit could change all of that if his bell is ringing once more. Herbert and the Chargers' passing offense looked very strong against a mediocre Vikings defense. Regardless, they finally got in motion and showed how dangerous things can get when they are on. The Raiders' passing defense has already allowed 7 touchdowns and have no interceptions. I'm a bit concerned for Los Angeles and the passing game with Mike Williams out for the year, but I'm even more concerned for the Las Vegas Raiders with Josh McDaniels as their head coach with the errors he made in that Steelers game late. I think he's going to be on thin ice for the foreseeable future, but I don't see his team being able to keep pace with this Chargers team. I'm not running to the window to lay chalk with the Chargers and this defense that's been in rough shape through 3 games, but the Raiders haven't been much better across the board, and Jimmy Garoppolo may be out at quarterback. There's a good chance the Raiders are going to throw out Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell at quarterback this week. No thanks. So the Los Angeles Chargers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Raiders and Chargers defenses are both in the bottom 10 in points allowed per game. In the first 3 weeks, Los Angeles surrendered 28 points per game and Las Vegas gave up 25. These defenses that can't keep opposing offenses out of the end zone and give up too many big plays. The Chargers will probably be doing most of the scoring on Sunday. Their offense ranks 2nd in yards per game, and Justin Herbert torches defenses with his elite playmaking. The Chargers' run game can also be expected to have a big game, as the Raiders allow the 12th most yards on the ground. Let's not forget the Raiders have their own elite playmaker and wide receiver Davante Adams. The Chargers' pass defense is one of the worst in the league, so if Garoppolo can get him the ball, he can be a deep threat all game. Josh Jacobs also has a good chance to come alive and deliver his best game of the season. The under is 6-4 in the last 10 meetings between these two and 3-1 over the last 4. The Raiders have seen the under go 2-1 in their games this season, but the highest total points in any of their games was 48. The over is 2-1 in Chargers games this year and 4-1 over their last 5 dating back to last season. Los Angeles has seen an average total of 58 points per game scored in their 3 games. Herbert and company went off last week, and I see no reason why that stops here. I expect the Chargers pass attack to light up the Raiders. On the other side, the Raiders offense is certainly an issue, but if they can manage at least 2 touchdowns, we should be in the clear. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.